Title: Musk and Trump's Campaign Against the Deep State, A New Era in Federal Governance. Date: February 3, 2025. Introduction. The political landscape of the United States has taken a drastic turn following the inauguration of Donald Trump for a second term on January 20, 2025. Alongside tech mogul Elon Musk, Trump has embarked on a campaign to dismantle what they term the deep state within the federal government. This initiative prominently targets diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) programs, which they view as obstacles to their vision of a more streamlined and ideologically aligned government. The following report encapsulates the major developments, objectives, and implications of this unprecedented political maneuvering. 1. Background and objectives. The newly inaugurated Trump administration has set forth an ambitious agenda characterized by a desire to reshape the federal workforce. Central to this agenda is the notion that federal employees, particularly those involved with DEI initiatives, embody a bureaucratic class that is resistant to change and ideologically biased. The administration's strategy was communicated to federal employees through a controversial announcement offering them the choice to resign voluntarily with pay or remain under heightened scrutiny, effectively coercing many to leave. 2. Key actions and developments. The campaign to reshape the federal workforce has unfolded rapidly, marked by a series of aggressive actions aimed at purging perceived ideological adversaries. Federal Workforce Purge. The administration initiated a wave of firings and administrative leave for employees associated with DEI programs. This approach not only instilled fear but also aimed to circumvent legal protections traditionally afforded to federal employees. Formation of the Department of Government Efficiency (DOGE). Musk was appointed to lead this new department, which aims to implement radical changes across federal operations. Critics initially dismissed the establishment of DOGE, but its early actions suggest a commitment to a transformative agenda. Targeting USAID. A significant focus of the administration's efforts has been the U.S. Agency for International Development (USAID). Reports indicate that the agency is being dismantled, with staff ordered to avoid the office and access to computer systems revoked. Trump's support for this initiative has drawn widespread condemnation, particularly concerning its potential humanitarian impact given USAID's role as a major provider of global aid. Public messaging. Musk has been vocal in his condemnation of USAID, likening it to a ball of worms that is irreparably damaged. Trump's rhetoric echoes Musk's sentiments, framing the agency as a bastion of radicalism that must be dismantled to restore order and efficiency. 3. Common themes. Several themes emerge from the ongoing efforts by Musk and Trump. Anti-bureaucratic sentiment. Both figures share a disdain for what they perceive as a bloated and ineffective federal bureaucracy. Their campaign resonates with long-standing conservative goals to reduce government influence and spending. Ideological alignment. The administration prioritizes loyalty and ideological alignment over traditional meritocratic principles, signaling a shift in how federal agencies may be staffed and operated. Disruption as a strategy. Musk and the tech right's desire to disrupt government functions aligns with Trump's personal interests in consolidating power and reducing oversight. 4. Diverging perspectives. While Trump and Musk appear united in their efforts, differences in their motivations are evident. Trump's focus on loyalty. Trump's primary concern revolves around personal political loyalty and power consolidation. His actions reflect a desire to eliminate checks on his authority and prevent future investigations. Musk's vision of efficiency. Musk, alongside allies in the tech right, emphasizes efficiency and meritocracy in government. However, there are concerns about whether this vision aligns with Trump's approach, which often prioritizes loyalty over competence. Critics warn of the dangers inherent in merging business-like governance with political authority, raising alarms about potential authoritarianism. 5. Timeline of events. January 20, 2025. Trump is inaugurated. Musk begins his role in reshaping federal agencies. Late January 2025, the administration announces a fork in the road for federal employees offering voluntary resignations. February 2025, reports emerge of a targeted dismantling of USAID, with staff placed on leave and operational access revoked. 6. Implications and conclusion. The ongoing campaign by Trump and Musk signifies a radical shift in U.S. governance with the potential to reshape federal agencies fundamentally, especially concerning DEI programs and international aid. The full implications of these actions are still unfolding, but they underscore a growing tension between traditional bureaucratic practices and a new disruptive political strategy. Critics have expressed concerns regarding the humanitarian consequences of dismantling agencies like USAID, emphasizing that such actions could lead to dire outcomes for millions reliant on international aid. The administration's approach raises fundamental questions about the future of governance in the U.S. as it navigates the delicate balance between efficiency, loyalty, and the preservation of democratic norms. As the Trump administration continues to implement its agenda, the intersection of technology, politics, and governance will likely remain a focal point of national and international discourse. The outcomes of this endeavor may well redefine the relationship between the federal government and its workforce, with repercussions felt both domestically and globally. The content provided presents a complex and multifaceted situation involving Elon Musk and Donald Trump's campaign to reshape the federal government, particularly focusing on dismantling established frameworks like the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion (DEI) initiatives and targeting agencies like the U.S. Agency for International Development (USAID). Here I will identify counterintuitive information and insights drawn from the content. Counterintuitive insights. 1. Efficiency versus ideological purge. At first glance, the initiative led by Musk and Trump seems to be about increasing efficiency in the federal government as articulated through the formation of the Department of Government Efficiency (DOGE). However, beneath this veneer of efficiency lies a significant ideological purge, aimed at removing those who are seen as obstacles to their vision, primarily individuals involved in DEI initiatives. The counterintuitive takeaway is that while the administration frames these actions as necessary for efficiency, they are fundamentally rooted in a desire to reshape the ideological landscape of federal employment. 2. Fear as a motivator. The strategy employed by the Trump administration to instill fear among federal employees, offering voluntary resignations with pay while simultaneously threatening job security for those who remain, could be perceived as a counterproductive approach. In a typical corporate environment, fostering a culture of fear would lead to decreased morale and productivity. Yet the administration seems to believe that this fear will effectively drive employees to self-censor and leave, thus aligning the workforce with their ideological goals. This contradiction highlights a possible miscalculation regarding the long-term viability of such a strategy. 3. Meritocracy versus loyalty. Musk and the tech right promote a vision of a merit-based government purportedly aiming to eliminate the managerial class that they believe stifles innovation and efficiency. In contrast, Trump's approach emphasizes political loyalty above all else. The counterintuitive aspect is that while the tech right advocates for meritocracy, their alliance with Trump, who prioritizes loyalty, may ultimately undermine their stated goals. The expectation that a government run on merit can coexist with an administration built on loyalty raises questions about the sincerity of their claims. 4. Disruption versus stability. The rhetoric surrounding disruption often implies a break from the past to create something new and better. However, the dismantling of established agencies like USAID, which plays a crucial role in global humanitarian assistance, could lead to instability and chaos rather than improvement. Musk's comparison of USAID to a ball of worms suggests a drastic response to perceived ineffectiveness, yet the potential fallout from eliminating such an agency could be devastating for millions in need, countering the narrative of positive disruption. 5. A public perception and political consequences. The administration's radical actions could lead to significant public backlash, especially concerning humanitarian impacts and international relations. The counterintuitive outcome may be that efforts to consolidate power and reshape federal structures could ultimately weaken the administration's position by alienating moderate voters and international allies. The assumption that these moves will be perceived positively by the public overlooks the complex realities of governance and public sentiment. 6 is technocracy versus democracy. The tech rights vision of a government run like a business is predicated on the notion that efficiency and innovation can flourish in a less bureaucratic environment. However, this technocratic approach raises concerns about the erosion of democratic processes and accountability. The counterintuitive realization here is that the pursuit of a streamlined business-like government could paradoxically lead to increased authoritarianism as seen in Musk's disregard for traditional checks and balances. 7. The role of the deep state. Trump's framing of the deep state as a shadowy, obstructive force suggests a simplistic understanding of the complexities of governance. While the desire to dismantle perceived bureaucratic inefficiencies is not uncommon, the counterintuitive reality is that many functions of the federal workforce are designed to provide checks against corruption and abuse of power. The administration's drive to eliminate these checks could inadvertently create an environment ripe for the very issues they claim to combat. 8. Humanitarian consequences versus political gain. The dismantling of USAID, which provides vital humanitarian assistance globally, may be seen as a politically motivated maneuver rather than a rational policy decision. The counterintuitive aspect is that while this action may serve immediate political goals for Trump and Musk, it risks long-term geopolitical consequences that could undermine American influence and moral standing worldwide. The decision to prioritize political expediency over humanitarian needs could backfire, leading to greater instability and crises that ultimately require more government intervention, not less. 9. Alignment of goals. The apparent alignment between Musk and Trump may be superficial. While both are motivated to disrupt the status quo, their end goals diverge significantly. Musk's ambition to innovate and build could clash with Trump's focus on consolidating control and eliminating opposition. The counterintuitive implication is that their partnership might be more tenuous than it appears, and the pursuit of their respective objectives could lead to conflicts that undermine their shared vision. In summary, the dynamics between Elon Musk and Donald Trump and their efforts to reshape the federal government reveal numerous counterintuitive insights. While they present their actions as a necessary response to inefficiencies and bureaucratic hindrances, the underlying ideological motivations, potential consequences, and the nature of their partnership suggest a complex interplay of power, loyalty, and governance that may not yield the intended results. Overlooked significant content in the report on Musk and Trump's efforts against the deep state and DEI initiatives. In the report detailing the efforts of Elon Musk and Donald Trump to reshape the federal government, several key elements may be overlooked by most readers, yet they hold profound implications for governance, societal equity, and the future of U.S. democracy. 1. Subversion of legal protections for federal employees. One of the most significant yet understated aspects of this initiative is the systematic effort to dismantle legal protections for federal employees. The administration's approach to offer federal workers a choice between voluntary resignation with pay or remaining under increased scrutiny and job insecurity is a strategic maneuver that could circumvent established labor laws. This action reflects a broader trend towards an erosion of civil service protections, which historically safeguard bureaucratic independence and prevent political whims from unduly influencing governance. Significance: the removal of these protections could lead to a politicized civil service where loyalty to the administration supersedes professional competency. This shift threatens the foundational principle of a nonpartisan civil service, which is essential for maintaining public trust and ensuring that government functions effectively regardless of the political party in power. 2. Ideological conflict between Trump's personal ambitions and tech rights vision. The report touches on the ideological dichotomy between Trump's motivations centered on personal loyalty and consolidating power, and Musk's vision for a meritocratic system free from what the tech right perceives as bureaucratic inefficiency. While both factions are aligned in their disdain for the current federal structure, their end goals diverge significantly. Significance: this ideological conflict hints at a potential instability within the administration. If Musk's vision for efficiency and innovation clashes with Trump's self-serving motives, it could lead to factionalism within the government, undermining the coherence of policy implementation and leading to erratic governance. Such a rift could also expose vulnerabilities that might be exploited by political opponents. 3. Disruption of humanitarian efforts through the dismantling of USAID. The dismantling of the U.S. Agency for International Development (USAID) is presented as a key action of this administration. Musk's characterization of USAID as a ball of worms that is beyond repair overlooks the critical humanitarian role the agency plays globally. The potential shutdown of USAID could have catastrophic consequences for millions relying on U.S. aid in crisis situations. Significance: the implications of dismantling USAID extend far beyond bureaucratic efficiency, they pose a threat to global humanitarian efforts. This could lead to a significant deterioration of the U.S.'s standing in international relations and its ability to influence global humanitarian policies. The reduction of aid can exacerbate humanitarian crises, destabilizing regions and leading to broader geopolitical repercussions. 4. Repercussions of radical bureaucratic changes on governance. The creation of the Department of Government Efficiency (DOGE) and the aggressive restructuring of federal agencies signal a radical shift in governance philosophy. Musk's leadership in this department alongside Trump's backing indicates an intent to implement a business-like approach to government that prioritizes rapid change over established processes and accountability. Significance: this shift to a business-oriented governance model poses risks of authoritarianism where decisions are made with minimal checks and balances. The prioritization of efficiency can blindside necessary ethical considerations, leading to policies that may favor corporate interests over public welfare. If governance becomes a fast and break things approach, the consequences could be severe, affecting not only internal operations but also the lives of citizens dependent on governmental support. 5. Long-term impact on DEI initiatives and social equity. The campaign against diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) initiatives is framed as a means to eliminate perceived ideological biases within the federal workforce. However, this perspective overlooks the importance of DEI programs in addressing systemic inequities and fostering inclusive environments within government and society at large. Significance: the dismantling of DEI efforts could reverse progress made towards social equity and inclusion, reinforcing historical disparities in representation and opportunity. The implications of sidelining DEI are profound, as they could perpetuate existing inequalities and undermine societal cohesion. Furthermore, this move could set a precedent for similar actions in the private sector, emboldening other organizations to abandon commitments to equity. 6. Potential for authoritarian governance and the risks of political loyalty. The emphasis on loyalty within the federal workforce, coupled with the firing of inspectors general and other oversight mechanisms, raises alarms about the potential for authoritarian governance. The administration's actions suggest a willingness to consolidate power at the expense of accountability, which could lead to a governance model where dissent is not tolerated in public institutions or weaponized against political opponents. Significance: this trend poses a critical threat to democratic norms and principles. If loyalty becomes the primary criterion for employment and advancement within federal agencies, it could lead to a culture of fear, stifling innovation and critical discourse. The long-term ramifications could be a weakened democracy where government functions primarily as an extension of the ruling party's agenda rather than as a representative body for all citizens. 7. The role of the tech right in restructuring governance. The involvement of tech figures, particularly Musk, in the restructuring of federal agencies reflects a broader shift towards the influence of Silicon Valley's ethos in governance. The tech right's disdain for traditional bureaucratic structures and their belief in meritocracy and efficiency as solutions to governance challenges could reshape how government operates. Significance: the infusion of tech-centric ideologies into federal governance raises questions about the appropriateness of such approaches in a democratic context. While innovation and efficiency are valuable, the application of business practices to governance must be tempered by considerations of ethics, equity, and accountability. A governance model that prioritizes speed and disruption can overlook critical societal needs, leading to unintended consequences that may undermine public trust in government institutions. Conclusion: the initiative led by Trump and Musk to reshape the federal government encompasses various dimensions that extend beyond mere bureaucratic changes. The overlooked elements identified in this report highlight the potential for significant shifts in governance, societal equity, and the fundamental nature of U.S. democracy. The implications of these actions may resonate for years to come, influencing not only the political landscape but also the lives of citizens and the nation's role on the global stage. Understanding these nuanced dynamics is essential to grasp the full impact of this radical transformation in governance. 1. Federal workforce purge and strategic messaging. The Trump administration's approach to reshaping the federal workforce through a voluntary resignation offer and increased scrutiny has significant implications for job security and ideological alignment within government agencies. This strategy not only instills fear among federal employees but also serves to bypass existing legal protections against wrongful termination. The framing of this initiative reflects a broader ideological battleground where loyalty to Trump's agenda is prioritized over meritocracy, signaling a dramatic shift in the operational ethos of federal agencies. 2. Formation and role of the Department of Government Efficiency DOGE. Musk's leadership of the newly formed DOGE signifies a radical departure from traditional governance structures. This initiative aims to streamline federal operations, challenging the conventional bureaucratic norms. The skepticism surrounding the department's efficacy, juxtaposed with Musk's track record in the tech industry, raises questions about the viability of applying corporate-style disruption to government functions. The implications of this merger between tech innovation and political authority are profound, as it blurs the lines between business efficiency and public service accountability. 3. Targeting USAID and humanitarian implications. The aggressive moves to dismantle USAID, as articulated by Musk and Trump, reveal a deep ideological commitment to restructuring federal agencies perceived as ineffective. This action not only threatens the operational integrity of one of the largest humanitarian aid organizations globally but also raises ethical concerns regarding the potential consequences for millions reliant on U.S. assistance. The rhetoric surrounding USAID being a ball of worms underscores a willingness to overlook the agency's historical role in global humanitarian efforts in favor of an ideological purge, indicating a troubling trend in prioritizing political objectives over humanitarian needs. 4. Divergent motivations and the intersection of power. The contrasting motivations of Trump and Musk highlight a complex interplay between personal political loyalty and a broader vision for government reform. While Trump seeks to eliminate constraints on his power and retaliate against perceived enemies within the deep state, Musk and the tech right advocate for a merit-based system designed to enhance efficiency and innovation. This divergence raises critical questions about the potential for conflict between these goals and the feasibility of achieving a cohesive agenda. The merging of Musk's tech-driven ambitions with Trump's populist rhetoric poses risks of authoritarian governance, suggesting a precarious balance between disruptive innovation and the foundations of democratic accountability. 1. The purge of the New Deal era. 1930s. In the 1930s, under President Franklin D. Roosevelt, there was a significant restructuring of the federal government as part of the New Deal. This involved the appointment of numerous new officials and a shift towards a more interventionist state, which some critics labeled as a deep state of bureaucratic elites. Roosevelt's administration sought to reduce the influence of the older, established government structures that were seen as ineffective in addressing the economic crisis of the Great Depression. This led to sweeping changes in how federal agencies operated, similar to the contemporary efforts by Musk and Trump to reshape federal bureaucracy. 2. Nixon's enemies list and the Watergate scandal 1970s. During his presidency, Richard Nixon became increasingly paranoid about political dissent and opposition, leading to the creation of an enemies list targeting journalists, activists, and political opponents. His administration engaged in various forms of intimidation and purging of those seen as disloyal or obstructive, paralleling the current narrative of Trump and Musk targeting perceived ideological enemies within the federal government. The Watergate scandal ultimately revealed the extent of Nixon's abuse of power and efforts to undermine institutional checks, resonating with the concerns surrounding the current administration's approach to governance. 3. The Cultural Revolution in China 1966 to 1976, initiated by Mao Zedong. The Cultural Revolution aimed to purge capitalist and traditional elements from Chinese society and enforce communist ideology. This involved a systematic attack on intellectuals, educators, and bureaucrats who were deemed counter-revolutionary. The campaign led to widespread chaos, persecution, and a significant transformation of the Chinese government and society. Similar to the current efforts of Musk and Trump to dismantle established systems perceived as corrupt or ideologically opposed, the Cultural Revolution sought to reshape the state apparatus by eliminating perceived threats to ideology and authority. The future outlook regarding the initiatives spearheaded by Elon Musk and Donald Trump, particularly their fight against the so-called deep state and efforts to dismantle diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) programs, suggests a transformative yet turbulent path ahead for U.S. governance. Here are some predictions based on current trends. 1. Continued purging of federal workforce. The ongoing purge of federal employees, particularly those involved in DEI initiatives, is likely to escalate. With the establishment of the Department of Government Efficiency (DOGE) under Musk's leadership, we may see a systematic effort to replace career civil servants with appointees who align more closely with the administration's ideological stance. This could undermine the traditional meritocratic principles of civil service, leading to a workforce characterized by political loyalty rather than expertise. 2. Restructuring of federal agencies. The aggressive dismantling of agencies like USAID indicates a broader trend towards restructuring federal agencies. If Musk and Trump succeed in their goals, we could witness the creation of new frameworks that prioritize efficiency and reduce regulatory oversight. This may involve significant budget cuts, staff reductions, and the reallocation of resources to align with the administration's priorities, particularly in areas deemed woke or ideologically opposed to their vision. 3. Impact on international aid and humanitarian efforts. The potential disbandment of USAID raises concerns about the future of U.S. foreign aid and humanitarian efforts. If USAID is dismantled, the U.S. could face significant backlash globally, as it is a major contributor to international aid. This may result in a decline in the country's soft power and diplomatic influence, as well as increased humanitarian crises, particularly in regions that rely on American assistance. The long-term implications could include a loss of global leadership on critical issues like climate change, health crises, and poverty alleviation. 4. Ideological polarization and backlash. The administration's focus on dismantling DEI initiatives may provoke significant backlash from various segments of society, including civil rights organizations, academia, and the broader public, as public sentiment shifts against perceived authoritarian measures. We could see increased activism, protests, and a resurgence of movements advocating for social justice and equity. This polarization could lead to a fracturing of the political landscape, making bipartisan cooperation more challenging. 5. Legal and political challenges. The aggressive tactics employed by the Trump-Musk administration may encounter significant legal hurdles. Efforts to bypass protections for federal employees and dismantle established agencies could lead to lawsuits and political challenges. As these actions are scrutinized, there may be a resurgence of advocacy for civil service protections and accountability mechanisms within the government. 6. Technological overhaul of governance. Musk's involvement in DOGE may lead to the introduction of technology-driven solutions to government inefficiencies. We could see a push for adopting advanced technologies such as AI and data analytics to streamline operations, though this may come with privacy and ethical concerns. The intersection of technology and governance could redefine bureaucratic processes. But it may also exacerbate issues related to surveillance and data security. 7. Long-term shift in governance philosophy. The initiatives taken by Trump and Musk could represent a long-term shift in how governance is conceptualized in the U.S. The move towards a more business-like approach to government, emphasizing efficiency and profit-like outcomes, may resonate with certain voter demographics. However, this could also lead to a decline in public trust in governmental institutions as citizens grapple with the repercussions of a politicized bureaucracy. 8. Potential for authoritarianism. The alignment of Musk's tech-driven approach with Trump's populist authoritarianism raises concerns about the future of democratic governance in the U.S. If the current trajectory continues, we could see an erosion of democratic norms and checks and balances. This may manifest in increased executive power, reduced accountability, and a government that prioritizes loyalty over democratic principles. Conclusion. The future of U.S. governance under Trump and Musk's influence is poised for significant upheaval. While their initiatives may resonate with a segment of the population seeking change, they also pose profound challenges to foundational democratic principles and the efficacy of federal institutions. The coming years may reveal a contentious battle over the direction of the federal government, with implications that will resonate across political, social, and economic spheres. Ultimately, how these initiatives are received, contested, and implemented will shape the landscape of American governance for generations to come.